So carrying on with my ethos of constantly changing the garden, yesterday I managed to secure this. Now this is an old iron gate which used to sit outside the ironstone mines at a place not too far from here. And this has been kept elsewhere for the last 40 years, just apparently leaning up against a wall, which is where I found it. So I decided that this would be a good place for it. I had a couple of ideas where I could put it, but I quite like the idea of having it as a backdrop to the wildlife area. And that's the look it gives me. I've moved one or two bits around with it, so I've moved the tin on the left-hand side there. We've moved that into the corner to give kind of, what's the word for it really? To make them two elements work together. Without it, it wasn't as effective, so I moved that ribbed tin and it works a treat now. The planting's coming on, as you can see, and I'm really happy with the planting now. The one thing I'm waiting for at the moment is the Arundodonax macrophylla, which is a tiny, tiny little plant at the moment. It's going to make 9 foot eventually, so it's a reed that'll sit at the side of there. And once that gets growing, and this year it should do quite well, then that's going to look really, really effective in there. But for now, it's a tiny little plant. I must say I'm quite taken with this little grass here, and this is called Oryzopsis millicea. And it's what's commonly called the rice grass. And it's quite nice. I can see why people like it. It has that lovely little look. And it's doing really nice down here. Now, I've also got behind it another grass, and this grass may not make it long term. This is Anamanthia lessoniana, the pheasant tail grass, and although it looks like it's dying there, it's actually not. It's coming back quite well. But over time, that's one of the plants that might have to be moved. As I said, I'm in constant change up at Grassy Bottom, and I don't like things to stay too static, but I also have to be aware that I need to keep things looking as they are for some time before changing things, because I am a bit of a one for changing on a regular basis, too regular sometimes. So I just thought I'd give you a short update on what I've done with it, and there we are, and I think it looks absolutely superb. And it's definitely working now better as an area. We've just got to wait now for the plants to mature, or the plants to get growing through the season, and they are doing. There's quite a lot to grow. There's a hosta down there, and I'm not 100% convinced at the moment it's in the right place. It's a little too dry for it anyway, but it's called Empress Wu, and it wants to be a massive, great hosta. And I think I might struggle there over time, so we may move that in favour of something else. But for now, I'll leave it. And that rheum, it's looking really good. I protected it over the last week because we've had a couple of frosts, and I didn't want it to get to all this sort of size and then suddenly to lose it because I didn't cover it when we got a frost. And I'm sure I've saved it by doing that. Now, as you can see from the pools, it's raining at the moment. But not to worry. That's what we're expecting now, a little bit of rain, which is good because I've just put a few more plants in the garden. I always like them to get rain. Although I water them in, I like them to be rained in as well. So I encourage you to change things. If they're not working, don't just sit with them and think, oh, it's all right, it'll be okay. Don't sit with them. If you think a change is needed, then do it. Don't be afraid to do the change. Because as I say, you've seen I do that on a regular basis. And now, having worked on this new area all winter, this is now coming into its own. And once all the plants do get to the size I want them, this is just going to be outstanding, I think. I'm just hoping that the hedgehogs and the wildlife are going to use the pond a bit more. Well, they are using it. The birds are definitely using it. But as I said before, I ain't seen the hedgehogs in here yet. Now, I don't think there's anything else that I can actually do to this area, apart from jiggle around with one or two other plants. But I really like this area now. And it is called the Wildlife Pools rather than a pond. As I said, I didn't want a pond. And don't forget, I've made it so that wildlife can safely get in and out of that. Them two little pools. There's a dustbin lid there, so if you simply want a little bit of water in your garden, just turn the dustbin lid upside down, put some water in it, and you'll be amazed how quickly the bird life comes to that. When I first got here, I did just that in a big patch of the lawn, and within minutes I had wood pigeons bathing in it and drinking out of it. So a little bit of water in the garden definitely encourages wildlife. So this is pretty much it. And I can't wait really for the summer, because there's going to be so much new growth in here. And I think I've got the balance. Another thing you have to remember is plant association. And will things suit this area? And at the moment they're looking really, really good. And I know there's other bits and bobs to come up. Where that bare patch is here, there's going to be some tall grasses coming up there, as well as the hosta that's in there and other bits and bobs. But I've just got to be patient, just hang on a little bit more, see what happens. And if there are any changes to be made once it gets to that stage, then I will have no option but to do that. I will change it. I won't just leave it. If I think some plant's going to do better in there than the plant that's already there, then I won't hesitate really to actually do the changes. So it's something I encourage you to do all the time. Change things often. If they're not working, they're not working. Take inspirations from videos such as mine. That's why I do this, so that people get some sort of an inspiration and give it a go themselves. This type of scene is easy to recreate. And don't forget, it's part of a bigger area, so this is just a little bit of a piece of the jigsaw puzzle that I'm doing up here at Grassy Bottom. And I'm very, very happy indeed with it. And I know I come across a lot of these architectural salvage things, and I practically get them for free. And I'm quite lucky when I do find these things. But at the moment, it's looking great. I absolutely love it. And we'll see what we need to do as summer comes and the plants start growing bigger. So that's me on a rainy evening up at Grassy Bottom, showing you the changes, or the new changes that I've made, or the change that I've made. Okay, thanks for looking, and I'll talk to you later. Ta-da!